I didn't know a single moment could ruin everything. Not loudly, not all at once, but quietly. Like something slipping through your fingers before you even realize you're losing it. And the worst part? I walked straight into it. My name is Emily Carter, and the day I came back home was the day everything inside me started breaking again. I hadn't seen my mother in 5 years. 5 years of silence, 5 years of distance, 5 years of trying to rebuild myself. After a marriage that left me hollow, after my divorce from Ryan, I told myself I needed space. I moved to New York, buried myself in work, in studies, in anything that could distract me from the kind of pain that doesn't heal, it just hides. But no matter how far I went, there was always a part of me that missed her. My mom, Margaret Carter, she wasn't perfect, but she was home, and maybe that's why I didn't tell her I was coming back. I wanted to surprise her. I wanted to see her face light up the way it used to when I walked through that door. I wanted something good for once, but life doesn't always give you what you want. Sometimes it gives you what breaks you. I remember standing outside the house in Seattle. Same porch, same windows, same quiet street. It looked exactly how I left it, and for a second, I felt safe, like maybe, just maybe, things hadn't changed that much. I lifted my hand to knock, but the door opened before I could, and that's when everything shifted. He wasn't supposed to be there. Tall, calm, confident. In a way that didn't ask for permission, he looked at me. Like I was the stranger. Can I help you? He asked. His voice was steady. Too steady. I blinked, trying to process what I was seeing. I'm looking for Margaret, I said slowly. I'm her daughter. Something flickered in his expression. Just for a second. Emily?
He said. My chest tightened. Yes. He stepped aside. Come in.
She'd be back soon. Back soon.
He said it like he belonged there, like this wasn't my home anymore. I'm Ethan, he added. And just like that,
a name I had never heard before was suddenly standing inside my life. I walked in. But it didn't feel like coming home. It felt like walking into someone else's story. Everything looked the same. But not really. The furniture was arranged differently. The air smelled cleaner. There were small details, subtle, quiet, that didn't belong to us. 2 coffee mugs instead of one. A jacket that wasn't mine. Shoes by the door that told me someone else lived here now. Someone permanent. I dropped my suitcase near the hallway. My hands felt cold. Who are you to my mom? I asked. I didn't try to hide the edge in my voice. He didn't hesitate. I'm her partner. That word didn't hit me right away. It settled slowly, like something heavy sinking deep into water. Partner. Not friends, not a guest, something more. Something serious. I sat down without meaning to. My mind was racing, trying to catch up with something my heart wasn't ready to accept. My mom had moved on. She had built a life without me in it, and somehow this man, this complete stranger, was part of it. And then the door opened again. Emily? Her voice. Soft, familiar, real. I turned, and there she was, for a moment. Everything else disappeared. She ran to me, wrapped her arms around me, held me like she never wanted to let go. And I held her back. Tight. Because at that moment, I needed her more than I realized. For a while, it was just us. Just mother and daughter, like nothing had changed, like time hadn't stolen 5 years from us. But reality has a way of coming back. Quietly. Uninvited. Later that night, after dinner, after the smiles faded, the silence came back, and this time, it stayed. I wanted to tell you, she said softly. I looked at her. Tell me what? She hesitated. About him. About Ethan. I didn't know how you'd react, she admitted. I crossed my arms. Who is he, really? She took a deep breath. He came into my life when I needed someone the most. There was something in her voice. Something fragile. I was alone, Emily. I was hurting. And he helped me stand again. I should have understood. I really should have, after everything she went through. After everything I went through. We both deserve something better, something stable, something real. So why did it feel wrong? Why did something inside me refuse to settle? Because there was something about him, something I couldn't explain, the way he looked at me. Not inappropriate. Not obvious, but Aware, like he noticed more than he should, like he understood something that hadn't even been spoken yet. And that was the moment I should have stepped back. That was the moment I should have created distance. That was the moment I should have listened to that quiet voice inside me saying, this isn't going to end well. But I didn't that night. I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything in my mind. His voice, his presence, the way he moved around. The house like he belonged there. And the worst part? A small, dangerous thought kept creeping in. What if this wasn't just about my mother? I turned in bed, trying to push it away, trying to convince myself it was just a shock, just confusion, nothing more. But deep down, I already knew. Some stories don't begin with a choice. They begin with a feeling. A moment, a look that lingers just a little too long. And by the time you realize what's happening, it's already too late to walk away. I thought meeting him was the hardest part. I had no idea what would happen when we were left alone. I should have kept my distance. That would have been the smart thing to do. The right thing. But the truth is, sometimes the line between right and wrong doesn't feel clear at the moment. Sometimes it feels quiet. Almost harmless. The morning after my arrival, I woke up earlier than usual. For a second, I forgot where I was. Then it hit me. The house. My mom. And him. Ethan. I told myself I'd avoid him. Just stay in my room. Keep things simple. Keep things normal. But nothing felt normal anymore. I walked into the kitchen later that day, and there he was, like he had been there all along, cooking. You cook? I asked, leaning against the counter. He glanced over his shoulder, a small smile forming. I'll try, he said. Simple. Casual. Like there wasn't this strange tension sitting between. The smell of garlic and tomatoes filled the air. It felt warm. Too warm. I didn't mean to be cold yesterday, I admitted. I don't even know why I said it. Maybe I wanted to fix something that hadn't even fully broken yet. He nodded. I wasn't expecting you either. That should have been the end of it. Just a polite conversation, nothing more. But then we sat down to eat. And we talked. About random things at first. Books. Music. Movies. Safe topics. But then something shifted. Slowly. Naturally. He made me laugh. A real laugh. The kind I hadn't felt in years. Not with Ryan. Not after. Everything fell apart, and that's when it started. Not with a touch. Not with a look, but with something much more dangerous. Comfort. Because sometimes the most dangerous connections don't feel intense at first. They feel easy. Over the next couple of days, things should have settled. They didn't. They got closer. My mom was happy. I noticed it more now. The way she smiled around him. The way her voice softened. She looked lighter. Like life had finally given her something back. And I hated myself for noticing how much I didn't fit into that picture anymore. Then everything changed. Again. One morning, she rushed into the living room, clearly in a hurry. Emily, I have to go to Montreal for a few days. Work-related. My heart skipped. A few days? I would have stayed if I knew you were coming, she added. It's okay, I said quickly. Go, I'll be fine. But I wasn't thinking about being alone. Not really. I was thinking about who I'd be alone with. She kissed my forehead, grabbed her things, and left. And just like that, the house went quiet. Too quiet. I stood there for a moment, then I heard his footsteps behind me. She'd be back soon,
Ethan said. I know.
But that wasn't the problem. The problem wasn't the silence. It was what the silence allowed. That day, we barely spoke. I stayed in my room, pretending to read, but every sound in the house pulled my attention. Every movement. Every step. By evening, I couldn't take it anymore. I walked into the kitchen. And there he was again. Cooking. Like we were stuck in some quiet routine we never agreed to. You always cook? I asked. Only when I'm trying to impress someone, he replied. I paused. He didn't look at me, but something about that answer lingered. We ate together again, and this time, it wasn't awkward. It felt normal. Too normal. We talked longer, laughed more, forgot just for a moment who we were supposed to be to each other, and that was the real danger. because the moment you forget the boundaries is the moment you start crossing them. The next morning, it was raining. Soft, steady, quiet. I walked out into the hallway and stopped. He was there. Painting. No shirt. Music playing softly. Completely focused. You're painting? I asked. He turned, smiling slightly. Your mom's been wanting this done for a while. I stepped closer without thinking. Need help? And just like that, we were standing side by side. Painting walls. Laughing when paint splashed. Talking about nothing. And everything at the same time. At one point, music started playing louder and we ended up dancing right there in the living room. No plan. No intention. Just a moment that felt alive. And that's when I realized something I didn't want to admit. I wasn't just noticing him anymore. I was feeling something. In feelings. Don't ask for permission. That evening, we sat on the floor. Tired, quiet. He looked at me. Not casually, not briefly. Really looked. You're stronger than you think, he said. I didn't respond. I couldn't. Your mom, she talks about you a lot, he added. But you're different than I imagined. My chest tightened. Different how? I asked. He hesitated, in a way that makes it hard to look away. Silence. Heavy. Real. Unavoidable. That was the moment. The moment where everything could have stopped, where I could have stood up. I walked away. Closed the distance, but I didn't, because part of me didn't want to. And sometimes, wanting something is enough to destroy everything. That night, I couldn't sleep. Again. The rain hadn't stopped. Neither had my thoughts. I kept replaying every moment. Every word. Every look. And deep down, I knew something had already changed. Something we couldn't undo. By the second night, it wasn't just tension anymore. It became a choice. And that choice was the beginning of the end. I wish I could tell you it didn't happen. That we stopped. That we remembered who we were supposed to be. But that wouldn't be the truth, because the truth is, some lines don't get crossed in a moment of weakness. They get crossed because, deep down, you've already stepped too close to the edge. And once you're standing at that edge, sometimes falling feels easier than walking away. By the second night, everything had changed. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just quietly. We spent the day finishing the painting. The house looked different now. Brighter. Warmer. Alive. It should have felt like a good thing. Instead, it felt like we were covering something up. Like every fresh coat of paint was hiding something we didn't want to face. That evening, we barely spoke. Not because there was nothing to say, but because there was too much. I went to take a shower, hoping it would clear my mind. It didn't. The water ran. But my thoughts stayed loud. His voice, his smile, the way he looked at me. I wrapped myself in a towel and stepped into the hallway and froze. He was there. Waiting. For a second. Neither of us moved. You okay? He asked quietly. I nodded. But I wasn't, not even close, because sometimes your body stands still. But everything inside you is already moving forward. I'll be quick, he said, gesturing toward the bathroom. I stepped aside. Our shoulders brushed just slightly, but that small contact felt like something much bigger. I walked back to my room, closed the door. Sat on the edge of the bed. My heart wouldn't slow down. I knew what this was. I knew where it was heading, and I still didn't stop. That night, I couldn't sleep, not even for a second. I sat by the window, watching the rain hit the glass, trying to convince myself this would pass, that it was temporary, that it meant nothing. Then, there was a knock. Soft. But certain. I didn't need to ask who it was. I opened the door, and there he was. No excuses. No explanations. Just silence. Can't sleep, I whispered. He shook his head. Neither can you. That should have been enough to stop us. It should have been the moment we stepped back. But instead, he walked in, and sometimes, the moment you let someone step inside your space is the moment everything changes. He sat on the edge of the bed. I stayed standing, trying to hold on to something. Anything that still made sense. This feels wrong, I said. My voice is barely steady. He looked up at me. Then why does it feel so hard to walk away? I didn't have an answer, because the truth was, I didn't want to walk away. And that was the most dangerous part of all. We didn't rush, we didn't speak, we just Moved closer dot slowly dot carefully dot like we both knew this moment would define everything after it dot, and then we crossed the line dot, no details dot, no explanation. Just a choice that couldn't be undone dot, and some choices don't just change your life, they change how you see yourself forever. When it was over, everything felt different dot, quieter dot, heavier dot, reality had finally caught up with us dot the next morning. Nothing looked the same, even though everything physically was. We avoided each other, spoke about meaningless things, the weather, the house, anything. But what had happened? But silence can be louder than words that afternoon. My mom came back. She walked in smiling dot, happy dot, aware dot, she hugged me. Then she hugged him, and something inside me broke, because for the first time, I realized exactly what we had done dot. It's one thing to make a mistake in the dark. It's another to face it in the light dot. At first, she didn't notice, but something had changed, and she felt it dot, the way we avoided eye contact, the tension, the silence dot, and then someone else noticed too, the neighbor dot, Mrs. Collins. She stopped by later that day, casually mentioning, I saw you two the other night.
Dancing.
You looked so happy. My mom smiled at first dot, then paused. I wasn't home, she said dot, and just like that, everything started to fall apart that night. She came into my room dot, her face was pale, her voice was shaking. Tell me the truth. I couldn't speak. I saw it, she said. In both of you. Silence, and that silence said everything dot. Her reaction wasn't loud dot, it wasn't dramatic dot, it was worse dot, it was quiet, broken. How could you? She whispered dot. I tried to explain, I tried to make it make sense. It just happened. But some things don't have explanations, only consequences. She told him to leave. Right there dot, no arguments dot, no second chances dot, and he did without looking back. And sometimes the person who leaves quietly leaves the deepest damage behind. That night, I heard her crying dot through the walls, through the silence, and I realized something I wasn't ready to face. I didn't just lose her trust, I lost her the next morning. She didn't speak to me dot, not even once dot, so I packed my things, booked a flight dot, left dot, not because I wanted to, but because I knew I didn't belong there anymore dot. It's been months now dot, no calls dot, no messages dot, no closure dot. He reached out. Oh, NCEA, simple message. I hope you're okay. I never replied, because I didn't know how to be okay after that dot. Some connections feel real in the moment, but leave nothing behind except regret. Sometimes I sit alone and wonder, was it ever real? Or just two broken people trying to feel something again? I don't have the answer, but I do know this. Some mistakes don't fade. They don't disappear with time. They stay dot, quiet dot, heavy dot, like a memory that never stops reminding you of the moment you lost everything. And now, all I have left are pieces of my mother's trust, of my own heart, something that should have never existed in the first place. If you were in my place, would you have walked away sooner? Or do you think some stories are already written before we even realize we're part of them?